Manny Pacquiao is going back to boxing. He's going to fight a guy named Mario Barrios. And people who know a lot about boxing have their own thoughts about this 46-year-old coming back. Let's see what they're saying. When a famous boxer named Sugar Ray Leonard heard about it, he remembered his own comeback after not fighting for 5 years. He wanted to give Manny some tips. Sugar Ray said, "When I came back, I didn't realize it had been 5 years since I last fought. You have to get used to getting hit again. You have to get used to training super hard at that level. It's a lot to handle. It's more about your mind and how you feel inside than just your body. You need to have that fire, that passion." Do I wonder if he can do it? Maybe, but maybe he knows the right way to do it. We don't think it's silly. Boxers don't think like that usually. I wish I had, but back then, no one could change my mind. I was ready to step into that ring. Coach Justin Fortune thinks people shouldn't say Manny can't win though. He said, "Yeah, Barrios is a champion, so it's a big, exciting fight. He's the WBC champion, but don't count Pacquiao out just because he's older. A lot of people are hating on him because of his age, but come on, he still has tons of strength, tons of speed, and so much experience. If Manny beats him, wow, winning at his age would be huge. But listen, he's 45 or 46, sure, but he's not just sitting around. He's always staying active, mostly playing basketball or some kind of sport." A guy named Bob Arum doesn't want to say anything mean about Manny's choice to come back, but he definitely thinks Manny should be more careful because of his age and how long he's been away from boxing. Bob said, "I can't say anything bad because Manny has been so important to us and our company, but it seems really risky that at his age, he would step into the ring with a champion fighter. I mean, even George Foreman, another famous boxer, was younger than Manny is now when he beat Michael Moorer, and George had been fighting regularly before that. Manny hasn't really been active at all. He's an amazing person, and if anyone can do it, it's him, but I'm really worried about it because of his age and how long he's been away. Still, I'll definitely be cheering for him because he's such a great guy who has meant so much to us as a company." A coach named Robert Garcia definitely thinks Manny's age will matter, and he doesn't think this fight is a good idea, even though he understands why it was easy to set up. He said, "Well, Pacquiao is a huge name, and obviously, this is a great fight for Barrios because he's the champion. And since they both work with the same boxing group, PBC, it was the easiest fight to make. So, it's another chance for a big title. But honestly, I really believe Pacquiao shouldn't be fighting. I think it's going to be a little, I don't want to say sad because he's going to make a lot of money, so we can't feel bad for him. But at 46, almost 47, it's almost impossible. I'm just 3 or 4 years older than him, and it's not easy to think you can get in shape and fight the way you did when you were in your 20s or 30s. Do I think it's impossible for him to beat Mario Barrios right now? Well, it's not impossible because he still has power, that strength he's always had. But Barrios is big and strong, so I don't see it happening. But is it possible? Anything's possible. George Foreman did it, and others have too, but I really don't see it happening. Pacquiao's speed is what he's known for, though. Another boxer, Juan Manuel Marquez, doesn't think this will be an easy fight for either guy, and he doesn't want to say Manny has no chance. Juan said, "After 4 years of not fighting, we'll see how he does when he comes back." After that knockout in 2012, he kept fighting and actually looked pretty good, beating some great boxers. Manny Pacquiao is a fighter who works hard and stays focused. It's not an easy fight for Mario Barrios. This is a fight where experience matters, and that helps the Filipino fighter with his power and speed. The big question now is how well he can do when he steps back into the ring. A famous boxer named Oscar de la Hoya still thinks Manny is super skilled, and he believes that could help him in this really tough fight with Mario. He said, "I wish him all the best. I love him. Can he do it? Can he do it? Absolutely. Manny Pacquiao is a legend, Some nice ones, thank you. He's a legend. I think he can do it, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be easy. A boxing expert named Teddy Atlas doesn't think Manny can escape the fact that he's 46 years old in a sport for younger people. He said, "I'm very worried. I don't want to stop anyone from making a living or earning money. But I'm very worried about a great man who has helped his people, fought for his people, lifted his people up, and given away money to his people, probably too much. But he gave away money to his people. Now he's in a position where he has to fight at 46, after 72 fights. I'm concerned. I just think you're playing with fire, that's all." Yeah, you can move around. You can try to avoid things. But at a certain point, no matter how much you move the furniture around, you still know what room you're in. Kids still know what room you're in. You can't fool yourself. And he's in a room where he's 46 years old with 72 fights. Another boxing guy, Eddie Hearn, thinks this fight is all wrong, and he feels like Manny definitely shouldn't be fighting for a title after being away for so long. Eddie said, "He will never beat Barrios in a million years, number one. And I don't even think Barrios is that great. But yes, if Manny Pacquiao went and had a big win in boxing, then of course I'd let him fight our guys, and he'd be WBC World Champion. But he won't. And he shouldn't be fighting. And he definitely shouldn't be fighting for the world title. But of course, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh no, it's terrible that he fought Barrios, so I'm standing firm and not letting any of my fighters fight him." A boxer named Ricky Hatton is obviously worried about Manny's safety, but he's even more worried about how fair this is to other boxers who have been waiting for their chance at a title. He said, "After so many years out of the ring, what do you think? Well, one, I hope he doesn't get hurt. I think there's every chance he could. Secondly, I think, how did he get a world title shot, ranked 5th in the world, you know? Imagine if you were number 1 or 2 in the division and trained your whole life to get there, and then Manny comes in, retired for 5 years or whatever, and jumps into number 5 in the division." Another boxer, Terrence Crawford, doesn't want to say anything bad about Manny, and he still thinks there's a chance for him to win. Terrence said, "I can't say if he's too old or not, you know. If he gets in there and wins, then everybody will be saying something different. So I don't put any limits on an all-time great like Manny Pacquiao." A boxer named Amir Khan believes that Mario deserves this fight more than anyone, and he's at least happy for him. Amir said, "It's a fantastic fight for Mario. He needs that big fight. He'll be paid well, and fighting a legend like Manny Pacquiao. Who would say no to that? Mario deserves this fight because every fighter wants that big paycheck. It will be fantastic for him. When me and Virgil were training together, I used to spar with him a lot. He's a very good boxer. I don't know how much Manny has left in him. If they were both at their best, I'd say Manny Pacquiao all day, but this could be a tricky fight for Pacquiao. At the end of the day, he's been out of the ring for a long time. And does he still have that fire in his belly? Barrios, I'm sure, is going to come in wanting to win this fight because it can change his life. A long break, and at the same time, you're always that one punch away from getting hurt. I'm sure Manny has a great career ahead of him in politics. He doesn't need to come back, but sometimes you do miss the sport. Manny might miss not having that recognition, that love he used to get as a fighter, but I'm sure people will show up to watch him." A boxer named Mikey Garcia has been in the ring practicing with Manny Pacquiao before, and he has his own thoughts on the fight. He said, "You know, Barrios, I'm sure Manny's a legend, and big props to him, and hats off to him, because stepping up to fight a young, hungry champion, a world champion like Barrios, is tough. I've got to say, when it comes to the boxing fight, I've got to pick Barrios. He's in his prime. He's a solid world champ, way younger than Manny. Years ago, needless to say." A boxing expert named Jeff Mayweather isn't very happy with Manny jumping ahead of others and fighting for the world title. He said, "Well, first of all, before I even talk about the fight, it seems that boxing has changed because this guy's been retired for what, 3 or 4 years? What was his last fight? Thurman? It's been a while. He's 46 years old, yeah. But I mean, the thing is, he's done nothing. So I mean, I don't understand why he's even fighting." No, I mean, he's been ranked. But don't get me wrong. I mean, He's fighting a world champion from boxing. I mean, he's not fighting some guy like Conor was a whole different thing. He was just the #1 guy in UFC. But no, I mean, the thing is that he's done nothing to actually be fighting for a world title other than just his name and what he's done in his past. Well, don't you think someone of his stature, his legendary status, that there are fighters right now who are fighting to try to get to that #1 spot? And basically you have a guy who hasn't fought in I don't know how many years just jumps up and takes your spot, and might even win a title. But we see that all the time, right? Some guy wins the title for the first time. After remembering Manny's last fight, a boxing guy named Spencer Oliver isn't too hopeful about Manny's chances in this fight. Spencer said, Pacquiao looked like he wasn't as good as he used to be in his last fight against Ugas. He's had a long career and started fighting professionally in 1995. He's great, but he's coming back now. But the biggest problem with this is that the WBC is letting this fight happen for a world title, which is just wrong. I think it's a young man's sport. With how long he's been away, and how he did in his last fight, I don't like it. Let's just leave it there. But the people in charge should only allow fights if the boxers are in the top 15. He's been retired for 4 years. So how does that mean he can jump ahead and fight Barrios? It's wrong in so many ways. The system is broken with the WBC allowing that to happen. A boxing expert named Tim Bradley feels like this is all about the money, and he gave his own opinion on the fight. He said, it has to be about money, It has to be financial. I mean, any fighter who comes back, especially from retirement, a guy like Manny Pacquiao, it definitely has to do with money. 1, 2, I think Manny Pacquiao, even if he's not at his best, is still better than a lot of guys at their best, even with his age. But you have to think about the last time he stepped into that ring against Ugas, He didn't look good. He was beaten by a younger fighter. Barrios is no pushover. Barrios is a young fighter, A bigger fighter, knows how to keep his distance very well, can punch a little bit. He's not an easy fight for anybody in the welterweight division. And for Manny to come back after this long and face a young guy like that, it's dangerous. And sometimes, these old legends, they have to get beaten up several times before they stop fighting, That Ugas fight, I don't know if it was enough for Pacquiao. That's why he's coming back. But Barrios, he can finish Pacquiao. There's a chance that he can finish Pacquiao and basically make him go back into retirement. On the other hand, a guy named Sean Gibbons definitely believes that Manny could win this, and he sees it being a pretty fair fight. Sean said, it's a 50-50 fight, but a very winnable fight for Manny. Barrios is the perfect fighter. He has the right style because he's there to be hit, and he likes to fight hard. Manny is like a fine bottle of wine, getting better and better as he ages. He hasn't lost his speed, power, or passion. He loves to fight. If I didn't think he could fight at the highest level, I would tell him to do something else. A boxing announcer named Jim Lampley feels like Manny's desire to fight might be why he's doing this, but he understands the money side of things too. He said, it's sad, just sad that he feels any reason or urge to do this. But on the other hand, fighters fight. It's what they do. Hey, Jim Lampley, was gone for 6 years. Was it silly for me to choose to come back and call a fight? Was it a risk, Was there a chance that I could embarrass myself and fail? Are there some viewers and listeners out there who think that's exactly what I did? I'm sure that's possible, but I was back doing something I love, and I was getting paid for it. So I understand why Manny wants to come back and do something he loves and get paid for it. But it's one thing to talk into a microphone when you've been away for a few years and you're a little bit older. It's a totally different thing to go in and hit and get hit. And he made so much money, unbelievable amounts. So I wish it were enough, but I'm not surprised that it isn't. A boxer named George Kambosos Jr. is just as worried for Manny's safety as everyone else, but he also believes that he might have a chance to win. He said, yeah, it's surprising. Obviously, I know Manny very well, He's a true competitor, a guy that, if you put something in his head, and obviously to make more history, he's a guy that's going to give everything and, try his best. That's what I always learned with Manny. Give 110% and try your best, no matter what. So yeah, he's going to give it his all again. You can't beat time though, and time is hard. It was very hard watching him fight Lucas, and you could see it. And then watching the exhibition he had with the Korean guy or the Japanese guy last year, it was hard to watch. I know Manny. I know a man that I was rooting for. I love that guy. But again, he's a legend. And when he turns it on, he can still do it. Meanwhile, a sports reporter named Ariel Helwani is super mad about Manny taking this fight. And he can't believe what's happening in boxing these days, he said. Because, you know, what's the worst thing that could happen? Someone gets seriously hurt. Someone has injuries that change their life. And that could happen in boxing. We've seen this. Manny Pacquiao isn't safe from this. He's been knocked out. He's been hit. He's not like Floyd, who has hardly been hit. Manny's been knocked out cold. I thought when he got knocked out by Marquez, I thought he died. It was that scary. Remember that one? So I'm very surprised. And honestly, if it hasn't been officially announced, if it happens in Nevada or California, I'll be very surprised and, dare I say, disappointed. Another boxing expert, Frank Warren, is yet another person who doesn't understand how Manny can just jump back in after such a long break and fight for a title. Frank said, "It's not boxing doing it. It's the people in charge, the governing body, that's on them." George Foreman came back and won the title at 50 years old, sure, but you come in and test the waters, not go straight into a world title fight. I don't understand that. For me, it doesn't feel right for the sport. I've got to be honest, I don't agree with it. There was talk of Vladimir Klitschko, but these guys are well past their best days. That is the truth. And the facts are, it doesn't help the business or the sport any good. Want to keep watching more fight news? Click the video on the screen.